Welcome to the Visiting Artist Series of the African American Cultural Center at the University of Illinois at Chicago. Please forgive my voice. I'm dealing with some kind of sinus problem and it's affecting my throat. Let me begin by saying, in introducing this exhibition, Revolutionary, that the Chicago region has been a center for both creative and intellectual innovation all through the 20th century, and also now as we are entering and have well entered into the 21st century. Not only has it been a center for creative innovation, it's also been a center for political innovation. And one of the central concerns we've had is the role of art that is socially responsible. As you know, that's not only a concern here in Chicago, it's a larger national and international concern. And there is a body of literature dealing with trying to articulate the role of art. Probably in the Chicago area, we reached a peak of that consciousness during the latter part of the 20th century with the development of an organization called the Association of Advancement of Creative Musicians, an art group called Afro-Cobra, a writers group called Obasi, a theater group called Kumba. And they were very, very important in the development of the black arts movement. As well as that very strong cultural movement, we also had a very strong political movement in Chicago. And one of the highlights of it was the rise of the Black Panther Party in the latter part of the 20th century. So this is a community well steeped and well concerned with the relationship between culture and politics, and the relationship between culture and social change. Tony Collins, our exhibitor today, his exhibit is a collection of paintings depicting iconic figures of humans resisting political and social oppression. He uses acrylic on canvas, acrylic on glass, and he recycles materials as found objects, employing vivid colors and broad brush strokes to capture faces, postures, and stances from oppressed populations around the world. Although his work has propagandistic value, it rises far above propaganda, reaching the realm of art and establishing standards for creating art that is politically conscious. Tony Collins is a self-taught artist, a painter, photographer, and musician. He also is a barber and has graduated from Moeller Barber College here in Chicago. He is exhibited around Chicago at Garfield Park, the Urban Roots Culture Shop, and at his own 720 studio. Mr. Collins has created 2 murals on commission, The Wall of Black Fame and Oscar Johnson, Master Barber. He also has created the cover art for the compact disc Fungus by the group Still Black Sea. His artwork is in the private collections of Regina Robinson, Richard Allen, and Stephen Henton. We are very, very appreciative that he has considered our platform to display his work. He's going to come and talk about it today. The title is as the title of the exhibit, Revolutionary. Thanks, Tony.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. La ilaha illallah wa Muhammadan Rasulullah. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad ibn Abdullah is his messenger. First of all, I would like to thank UIC for allowing me to be here to, to speak mainly about my art. I've learned that history is best qualified to reward your research, and I would like to give you my history, and hopefully it would be rewarding. I started out on the west side of Chicago with graffiti, hip-hop, which is really going to lead me into my topic, which is urban art. With hip-hop, there are different elements. All of them, they're really macho, you know, based upon my ability to tear you down as an MC or tear you down as a writer or come out with a better rhyme or be able to spin records a lot faster than the other guy or be able to scratch. And as a kid coming up in the genesis of hip hop, I was very much intrigued with it. And I was able to find an outlet in hip-hop through graffiti. All my life I've been influenced by art, growing up in a household to where I would wake up and hear Lou Rawls or Thelonious Monk or King Pleasure. You know, my grandfather would play a lot of jazz and force us really to discuss topics because we didn't have the Nintendos or the Ataris or whatever. We had pencil and paper and our creativity. And when I found a group of people who also drew and also loved to discuss music and to you know, talk about topics of the day, I gravitated towards that. And you know, some may argue that you know, graffiti may be vandalism or whatever, but I found a home, as well as finding a voice, joining organizations, different political organizations, the Nation of Islam, the Black Panther Party, you name it. I'm a card-carrying member of each organization in my youth, looking for an outlet to say basically that I'm here, I'm outraged, I'm sickened by a system that basically turned their back on young men that look like me. So I would waste a lot of valuable time going to rallies and you know, a lot of anger and you know, let's go to New York and let's protest. And if it's a riot, oh man, let's get it on. You know what I mean? You know, down with the system. And what happened was I just wasted a lot of time. And the ability to spread yourself thin is really not a good thing because you want to be at every protest. You want to jump on the Palestinian bandwagon. And you want to jump on the political system in Chicago and in New York and whatever. So I decided to paint. I decided to write. I hooked up with a group of brothers, Still Black Sea Writers and Artists Guild, and learned how to channel my my hatred into something beautiful. I can write a poem, put it on a CD, send it to Memphis, and it would be the same as me jumping on a bus, you know what I mean, going to the rally and also articulating my pain. I can paint a picture that would explain my outrage of the children fighting in Darfur and not necessarily having to travel that far. I ain't got enough money to go over there, and quite frankly, I don't think I would go. I mean, have you seen some of the, it's worse than the West Side over there, you know what I mean? So I think I began to look at things in a more international, or on a more international stage and find solidarity with struggle. And in that, you know, heavily influenced by the Black Panther Party with Emory Douglas, what he was able to do is capture art the way he saw it in his style and present it to the people. My style is heavy hip hop, heavy graffiti. My same tag is on every every picture that I do, my brush strokes mimic spray paint. You know, when it became illegal for us to get spray paint in Illinois, and I got too old to be, you know, shoplifting spray paint. I'm 32 years old and 34 years old. What you in here for? Spray paint, brother. Yeah. So I just thought it would be cool to just, you know, find a better way to get it out there. And in doing that, in having an honest approach, the youth, they're attracted to that. They want to know what's up with the guy that's always carrying the backpack, that's always sketching, and can you draw me? And he's always writing. And I took a each one, teach one approach to the problem. My students, they don't stay in school long. Some of them can't even read. Some of them got warrants. Some of them, by the next time I see some of my students, they'll be 25. You know? But by me approaching them and teaching them, okay, it's cool to be angry. It's cool to write F you a million times on a board, but also learn how to articulate your pain through the written word or through English. Master English. Learn how to put your pain in make it something beautiful, like Frantz Fanon. He had to have it. No matter what he said, his writing was so beautiful that you have to study it, as well as James Baldwin. So when you get a chance, when you through writing, you know, GD to the world blow up, let me show you, you know, how not to use double negatives when you speak, and how to pull up your pants, because one day you might pull a Malcolm X. And while you at it, here's this book, the autobiography of Malcolm X. You know, so I took a each one teach one approach to my students. You know, a lot of them, they've become dope on the hip hop tip. You know, dope on the spoken word tip. You know, and it's a beautiful thing. You know, they learn, like, when they're in solitary confinement, that they can come out with a whole novel now. So I'm really teaching survival skills and conflict resolution, other than, okay, you mad, well, take it out on paper before you be on the papers. And once you're in this system, it's over. Once you're on the books, it's over. You know what I mean? Once you surrender your name and your social security number up because of something that you're mad about, it's too late. It's too late. Now you got to spend all those years all over again redefining yourself. So my major accomplishment is not really the awards or selling paintings, it's my students. They come up all the time with their sketchbooks. Yo, Tone, let me. You know what I mean? The West Side is a beautiful, beautiful, like, garden of talent. Within a 1 block radius, you got singers, rappers, dancers, tap dancers. I know a cat that can literally quote Shakespeare as if he was trained somewhere, you know, like his name was Cornwall Higginbotham III. I mean, he's very articulate, but he stands outside of Rothschild. I am attempting to use my art as a platform to not only escape the West Side, but to make the West Side an oasis, make it someplace beautiful to where we won't want to run, you know. Present another form of music other than the big bass and you know, the derogatory hip hop, and present another form of hip hop, you know, which is really the original hip hop. But that's a whole nother lecture for a whole nother time. I find it very strange that human beings can come up and reinvent themselves every year in our community, giving very little. And that's what hip-hop is. I don't need an orchestra now. I got this 2 turntables, a microphone, and that's my band, and my MC, he's gonna do his thing, and my DJ right there. And these guys are millionaires now. I don't need Brooks Brothers or all of these, Gold Coast stores. I'm gonna find workman's boots, Timberlands, and Carhartt, and now it's chic. Russell Simmons, God bless him, he's the only one that I know that monopolized on that. I wish I was as enterprising as that brother, baby. Everybody be walking around with 720 on their backsides or whatever. But my point is that all through our history in America and throughout the Caribbean, we've been given very little, but we managed to entertain the whole world with that. Anywhere from the steel drum, which is being taught now in universities, to hip-hop, which is being taught in universities, selling everything from Big Macs to toothpaste. So one of the last elements is graffiti and breakdancing. But graffiti has the overwhelming ability to transcend cultures faster than any other art form. Even the music. On the Berlin Wall, there was graffiti everywhere. In Brazil, there's graffiti everywhere. Africa, over there in Palestine. And this is not an art for happy people. In Brazil, they writing the system sucks. In Cuba, Castro, we need food. Over there in Palestine, Israel, please stop shooting us. In their vernacular and in their own style. And you see them mimicking our struggle. They're copying graffiti artists from America right now in a particular style. Without no commercial, it just gets there. It attracts the youth. And I think that something that powerful should be used for change. I'm sure if Finger students had a recreational center to where they can just spray paint, it'd be one less dead brother out here. I can't bring them back. I can't stop them from dying, but I can paint about it, And hopefully another student, he can't bring his father back, he can't get his brother out of jail, but let me paint about it. And the time that you're doing a painting, maybe 3-4 hours done pass by. Those are hours that you're not getting arrested, you ain't being patted down, So art literally will save your life. As a child, I was fortunate to be around literate people that didn't mind sharing what they knew. And I wake up to a debate on Malcolm X and Martin Luther King in my living room. And I go out and try to express that to my peers, and I don't hear that. But the cultural center is free downtown, so let me catch the 126 and see this lecture. And there, the names and the people that my parents were talking about will become real. Chicago has a very rich art, very, very rich art community, but unfortunately, children are not, first of all, they're not turned on by it. Second of all, they just don't know. Urban Gateways is probably the only, and After School Matters, two organizations. One, you almost got to be a saint to get in. You ain't gonna get a kid with a record. And the other one, you have to go through so much red tape, the show might be over with, But as a youth, I found my way to there. As long as I had a bus pass and a library card, I'm straight. And now I can look at every artwork from all over the land, And And if I believe I'm no different from any other child. I was no different than any other child. I think that they want to learn. You know, the children would love to learn. They would love to be into the art. No outlet. Getting into the arts, it made me a more sensitive human being. I remember my grandfather with anything that had black folks in it with the arts, he was about. And he was looking at Alvin Ailey. And, you know, as a kid, I used to say things just to get a rise out of my grandfather because he would just go off on you. Like, he didn't hold no punches. And I said, yo, granddad, those guys look like sissies. And he looked at me and was like, sissies? Well, that's the most ignorant thing I ever heard. That's Alvin Ailey. I mean, he just went on and on about who this cat was that I had to figure out who he was. You know what I mean? So what I'm basically trying to get at is that for some, I'm not saying it's the answer to every problem, but for some who are interested in the arts, it can be a way to teach, to refine a human being. Power without refinement is nothing. It's just brutal. But when you have refined power, then you're a dignified man. It takes 2 seconds to be on some gangster stuff. It takes a lifetime to try to better yourself, you know? And that's what hopefully I'll be teaching with every showing that I have. I bring my block there. I bring my friends, you know? Certain people on the block I can't bring because some of this stuff will be on the block a little later. But God bless them. But you know, I bring a lot of people with me. You know, both of my parents are still alive, and I don't want to bring no embarrassment to them. So I like to do things that I believe at some point my parents would be proud of. Earlier in my career as an artist, my mom really didn't understand it. But I think she can dig it now, you know. But for those of you that are in positions to help out the arts and to help out art in the community, no matter where it is, the community that you live in, and not necessarily black communities, you know, because when we label stuff, we'll just be a black artist. And art is so much bigger than that, you know. I would love to believe that I would still paint if, you know, I could walk into a bank and everybody's greeting me like, hey, how you doing, Mr. Collins? You know what I mean? If there was no such thing as racism, I do believe that I still would paint, you know? So, and there are many just born. You know, those cats that just could draw for no reason. And I think that we need to really support any organization that's set up for the art, be it by just being there. I don't draw just, you know, so I can just sit up and look at it in my studio. I want people to dig it, you know what I mean? So, you know, not necessarily buy a painting, which would be cool, but no, for real, I mean, it really would be cool. No, but not necessarily to buy a painting, but to just dig it for a minute, and hopefully it'll create topic, you know, conversation. You know what I mean? I don't know. I guess I can go on and on. I would pretty much like to answer any questions if you guys have any about anything that I said, anything that you see. All of my mistakes, I apologize for that, but all of my success, I like to say that all praise is due to Allah. And that would conclude what I have to say right now and open this up for a question and answer, which is pretty much my favorite part of anything, answering questions. Yes, sir.
The Darian Albert and right there.
Mhm.
That looks, is that Arabic or something? Like
It
that?
is. It is. It's actually a recipe for hummus, and it's it says hello and air on it somewhere. And what I did was as a Muslim, I mean that's kind of messed up for me to be a Muslim and black. That's like asking for, especially in this day and time. But a lot of times people misunderstand culture. Arabic is used to write love notes, write honey, I'll be late for dinner. It's only language, but if I put it and put red in the back of it in the gas mask, you automatically think it's a formula for a bomb or something, or you know what I mean, some anti-American rhetoric, you know. But I just wanted to like take away the power of words, you know. Take it away, you know, like diffuse it a little bit, and bring something real to a people that have contributed a lot to society with Arabic. You know, anywhere from mathematics to Rumi writing his poetry. He wrote it in Arabic, and it was beautiful, you know. But all we know, or some of us know, you know, a very ignorant part of our society. You know, we see that, oh, that's that, you know, yin yang. I had a landlord actually say, have the audacity to call me a communist because of Arabic. I'm like, what the hell? I can't really repeat what I said, but it, you know, I'm trying to better myself. But I did that to really just play with stereotypes. As far as the young brother, it wasn't nothing I could do but look in shock and see another human being hit another. See, I felt sorry for both of the brothers. You know, I just didn't get a clear picture of the other brother. I would have probably painted him. But, you know, I know it wasn't about you stepped on my foot or you called my mama a hoe. You know, it was bigger than that. You don't take your hands and kill any human being for a basic, you know, you knock them out and that's it, and then you talk crazy. Like, man, I just knocked this fool out. Maybe, you know, you the man on the block. But to literally keep hitting this boy till he dies, that boy was abused. He need a hug or something, or, you know what I mean? Somebody did something horrible for it to escalate to something like that. So I really couldn't say anything about it. And I drive around Austin, and I found that in the Austin community, there were a lot of buildings that being rehabbed. So I saw the glass, and I thought it would be a fly frame for something. And when I saw that on YouTube, actually I YouTubed the whole thing and looked at it over and over again. I had to do something about it, you know. But I'm not going on the South Side and marching. You know, quite frankly, I have to go to work. I had to feed some kids, and when we're done marching, the only thing we're gonna have is tired feet. You know, until the whole community comes and let the young man who, or the young men who were a part of that, let them know that that's not acceptable by any means. It's gonna keep happening. You know, they're begging for a person to tell them, man, pull your. I love to see them walk with their pants hanging down. I say, man, pull your pants up, and you'll be surprised they'll do it. You know, they want us to do it because there's no one at home to make them do it. You know, and that was my whole point in painting the piece dedicated to the young brother. And I had also painted Bobby Hutton, and he reminded me a lot of Bobby Hutton. Bobby Hutton was in the Panther Party. He was actually a founder of the Panther Party, and after Dr. King had been assassinated, the community went up, you know, as well as Chicago, Detroit, and on the West Coast as well. And Eldridge Cleaver was there with him at the time. Eldridge Cleaver was a sharp cat. He knew things. He knew that if he walked outside naked, you know, the police wouldn't shoot him. Bobby Hutton was a little shame, and it cost him his life because the police shot him, killed him, 16 years old. But his organ, the brother's brilliant was you can't even get past it. His swagger, talking about swagger, one of the most powerful images in photography is him standing in front of the police station with a sawed-off shotgun, daring them to say something. And if you arrested him, he knew the law. You know? So I wanted to bring light on a lot of brave young men, not necessarily the little Waynes of the world, but the little Bobby Huttons, you know. And hopefully we'll walk around with his T-shirt, you know what I mean? And he did it all without sagging his pants. You know what I'm saying? Any other questions? I feel like the teacher on Ferris Bueller. He's like, anyone? Jordan, I think you're awesome. What's your question, buddy? Yes, please.
Yeah, I'm interested in the two women that you have depicted behind you.
Oh, wow.
Especially their eyes. Tell me something about what you said.
Say, Jack, that's my wife's eyes, man. What you mean? No, I as a Muslim, I wanted to really play on the aesthetics of what we think is a Muslim woman. I mean, some of us that may work with people from or with Muslims, they know that they don't always cover their face. Some of them don't even cover their head except when it's time to pray. But I wanted to show aesthetically a Muslim woman. I had the honor of having my wife as a model. And it's kind of funny. I'm like, you know, hold the gun right. You know what I mean? Like, how do I hold it? She's trying to be all like, this is not Charlie's Angel. You look rough. But I wanted to show that, you know, I mean, actually, that's my kind of woman. You know, that'll cook and clean and carry a pump. You know what I mean? No, I don't want to sound like a chauvinist up here, but I think that women have been the backbone of all societies. When suicide bombers blow themselves up, they have a mother, they have children, they're left to take care of the children. When a brother goes off to fight the war because he needed to pay some money or the GI Bill sounded sweet, when he gets messed up or dies, it's a woman left, you know, holding up things, taking care of things, you know. And I thought it would be a powerful visual image to have a woman holding a gun. Actually, Emory Douglas, he was the Minister of Art for the Black Panther Party of self-defense. He had like a lot of, you know, women with guns, and actually, this was like my, in hip hop they would call it, you know, they would say I was biting, you know what I mean? But I bit that whole thing from Emory Douglas. I thought it was real sweet. So I used my wife again as a, you know, as the model, and my son, he's not here right now. And, you know, attempted to mimic what he did. You know, I was very much influenced by, you know, proper propaganda. You know, poster art of Cuba, China, and that revolutionary theme. In the 60s, early 70s, I mean, it was a whole gang of cats just painting. And it was done for pretty much political reasons, you know, to get their point across, because a lot of people weren't literate. But if you can put a picture of a woman, you know, holding a skillet about to bash her landlord's head in, you know what I mean, that says it's worth 1,000 words. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to capture the woman's role in the revolutionary stance. You know, when the man's gone, a lot of time women have to do wonderful things because our men you know, just not there, you know. And it's you know, I see the women with the strollers and they're going off to war because they're lying to the Social Security guy. They're in their line to get the link cards. They're doing war on a whole nother level. You know what I mean? So I thought it would be cool to just, you know, actually play with that image, you know, and use a lot of the color. Actually, the colors are really with early communist propaganda posters, because they had very limited resources, and a lot of the communist countries have done a beautiful job with very little, pretty much because they have to. And you know, usually the only colors you got is black, white, and red. What are you gonna do with them? So I wanted to keep it real simple and let the picture, you know, speak for itself. Actually, that's one of the first paintings that I did once I got my studio, you know, and I would sketch it, you know, constantly, but it's a series of paintings like that. Like I think I'll be painting that type of image for a long time, or at least until, you know, our women don't have to do that. Yeah.
You know, just looking around, looking at all the paintings and everything, as an artist, how do you gauge what color scheme you're going to use? I mean, is it an emotional?
No, it ain't even that deep. Michaels will have a sale, or I'll find a bucket of acrylic or something, and like, cool, what is this? And you know, usually you go to Home Depot, and like somebody was like, you know, this lavender is just really not working, and that's so they'll bring it back, and I'm like, okay, and then you open it up and be like, okay, I got lavender, what do I do with it? You know what I mean? Like, whatever I can get on sale, whatever I can find, it really ain't that deep, you know. I wish it was.
I mean, so no emotion plays any part?
No, the emotion is in the work. You know, I'll throw on some Monk or some Eric B. and Rakim and rock out to it. And that goes back from hip hop. Sometimes all you got is 4 cans of spray paint. Now you got to do a whole piece in about 7 minutes because the police coming back around. So what are you gonna do? So I just decided, you know, whatever I had at the time, you know, whatever was on sale, because I mean, I'm raising a family. You know, before I had colors, I could take time to, you know, I think that orange would bring this out, but now, yes.
You had mentioned earlier, I mean, just to follow up on the question I was asked, where do you talked earlier about kind of the pain, the anger that caused the art.
Mm-hmm.
There are a number of questions I could have around that. Number one, do you fear losing that? And then what could the impact be to your art?
Yeah.
The other one would be, where today do you find the inspiration for your work that you then try to, I'll say, compose through the canvas?
Mm-hmm. Well, I fear losing that because it's real easy to come up with pain when you're in pain. You know what I mean? I don't have to sit up and think, okay, how would I feel if I was starving right now? You know? So I do fear losing that edge because, you know, aesthetically, I really would love to be that you know, that starving artist still. You know what I mean? I think that's why cats like Warhol's hung out with up and coming artists all the time, to keep that edge, even though he had bank. So, you know, the pain now is from somewhere else. The pain now is more of a my eagerness to succeed so that I can produce for my family. Before is so I can be heard. Now is so I can be totally understood. You know, when you have children, you become a totally different cat. You know, your methods, your whole inspiration changes. You want you know, you want to have character instead of be a character, you know. And I think that right now, my whole purpose is to create work that my children can be, one, inspired by, and two, they can be motivated to make something out of nothing, you know.
As we look at the art here, your work, is there a piece that says, you know, here's where I was then, and here's where I am today? So if you look at these two pieces, you see me as an artist.
Yeah, yeah.
My view of the world. Can you
Absolutely.
point that out to us?
Well, the picture in the back on wood, that's a reoccurring image. It's actually a tree. It's actually whips on a slave's back, and it forms a tree. I have maybe 7 or 8 since I've been painting pictures like that. That was, you know, the image that I wanted to portray. I'm a black man that's been whipped. And I've always said I would never paint presidents. I never paint I never paint for nobody's wall. But ironically, right across there is Obama and Harold Washington, and my quick art piece, which I did purely for the sole sake of selling them. And the younger artists would be like, man, I'm keeping it real. I don't want to attach no numbers to my work. But over here, my whole inspiration for, especially those 2 pieces, the 2 women, the quick art, was merely to make money. But I think there's a happy balance now, you know, because in a way I'm still doing revolutionary things, because I'm still using what God has given me, and trying to create something beautiful, or trying to say what was really in my heart at the time.
To hog all the questions, I'll turn on the floor.
Right on.
I just find it interesting that you say that Obama piece was a commercial piece, because in Harold Washington's eyes, there's tears of blood.
Yeah, yeah.
So, just a little bit more. I mean,
I couldn't,
because I didn't see that as.
I couldn't.
I saw you saying something about a lineage.
Yeah.
Of strife and struggle, and perhaps finally arriving, or that Obama was on the back of so many others who had gone before him.
Yeah, I mean, it started out as, when I first painted it, it started out, you know, Harold without the blood. But, you know, everybody in Chicago, like, man, they poisoned that man, they put it in his coffee. Or Jesse Jackson killed. I mean, it's all type of conspiracy crap about it. And when I started to paint it, I work in a barbershop, and, you know, I work around a bunch of geniuses. They are the wisest men that I know, and I'm so rich for being around them. And they always say, right around Obama being elected, they were like, the same thing that happened to Harold is going to happen to that boy. So I had to paint something. And a client of mine wanted something for his wall, and he wanted something with Obama. So I painted this one piece of a man in a top hat with a big old bow tie and blackface, and it was raining watermelon. And he was like, no, I don't, that's not what I really want. So I went back and I painted. It's purely symbolic. But I went back and I said, okay, well, I really want this guy's money, so I'm gonna go back and paint something great. So I worked this image out, and what happened was he didn't like that one either, with the blood coming down. but I've always had strong feelings about Harold Washington, and the verdict is out on Obama, you know. But that's why I have him looking down and Harold looking up, because you know, he's out of Chicago, and I do believe that Obama knows, you know, about the story of Harold Washington, and I do believe that he's a brave man for going forth of the office that he's going, you know. If you get all the rumors that, okay, Harold Washington got because he was helping black people, what do you think when you become president was going to happen to you? So I really think that it was he's a very brave man, but I had to stay true to Harold, you know. And I missed the sale, but I just like it being, you know, in my studio, you know, just looking at it. Yeah. JJ, why do I call myself 720? I am a member of the Nation of Gods and Earths, which is a big name for a bunch of little people. And in that organization, we give out names like Scientific and Born God and the Magnificent, you know, whomever. So I thought it would be fly to pick the name 720, which means that just because I'm born in a bad situation, I could turn my life around and pull a 720. You know, when you expect me to go this way, I'm going to pull a 720 and go the other way. And it represents 360 degrees plus 360 degrees. You have to be complete. God don't like lukewarm. Either you are or you ain't. You know? On the streets, I still have to walk it. And they look at me and they know what's real. And if you half-stepping, they will reject you. And among people who don't even honor that street stuff, it turns their stomach. They hate it. As a matter of fact, they want to know what you think. And how can you share that? You have to be able to not even fake it, but pull a 720 and be 100% what you believe. You know, it's okay to be a hustler, but, you know, define what you're going to hustle. You know what I mean? It's all right to learn from the streets. It's beautiful examples of our surrounding, of our neighborhood. But, you know, do the knowledge. Do you want to go left or do you want to go right? And, you know, be complete in it. So that's why I picked 720, because on any given day, you never know what you're going to get. You know? You never know. JJ.
When exactly age did you start painting?
I was about 7, maybe. And I got this this Crayola thing that had everything on it. And it was like it had like so many crayons that you wouldn't even believe. Like, and it turned around, I had an easel. And there's a guy, I think his name is Ross. It's a white guy with a big old afro. And he comes on Channel 11 and he can paint a picture in like 2 seconds. And look at those fluffy clouds. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, he's real soft-spoken. And you like, man, I wish I can do that. So I would turn on PBS and be like, okay, And when I ran out of paper, it usually ended up on the wall. Or I would try to make sculptures out of furniture.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mom. I'm working on paying you back. But I would be inspired on what I see, and, you know, as a child around, you know, 7, 8, I would just draw. You know, I wasn't much of a student, so in class I would just draw, you know. I was sort of a problem child. Yes.
You had fun with the color question and where you got your colors from. But actually, color presents at least 2 major problems for every artist.
Mm-hmm.
One is balance, and the other is resolution.
Mm-hmm.
So that when somebody looks at it, they feel like, you know, that's art.
Right, right,
And
right.
that's just something on the wall.
Absolutely.
Do you handle that with intellectually, in the front of your mind, or is it intuitive?
I think it's more of an instinct. In graffiti, you have to think fast. You have to, especially with acrylic. Acrylic is very, with my oil pieces, that's more of a contrived type of thought out process. But mostly my acrylic is pretty much, I throw on a hoodie and I'm in the same mindset as if I'm doing a piece outside. Like because it's really quick to dry. So, obviously like with the young man, I wanted to paint, leave the background white and create a black face, which would make a statement. And it was great because I had black paint that day. You might have had a pink thing. But you got to look deeper into the pink. But color plays a very, very strong point. And I have to think, there's another artist that shares the space with me. Actually, he's my landlord, but he's a very accomplished artist. His name is John Himmelfarb. And just looking at him play with color, he's not afraid of it. He's fearless with color. And I learned I've never been taught in school or anything. I've never went to any art academy or whatever. So I just mimic what John was doing. And when he comes down, he nods, I'm like, okay, that's what's up, And that goes back from hip hop, and that goes back from graffiti. If I do a piece and I see it, and I'll be quiet on the train, and you'll see enough people like, man, that's bad. You just nod like, okay, that's cool. Instant gratification. So it's more of an instinct. My whole training is instinct. I have nothing else to pull it from. Which is why I don't have pictures of like grapefruit and, naked, beautiful women, which would be great to paint. Glad my wife isn't here.
It's on video, brother.
But, it's just more of an instinct. It's more of an instinct. Yes, young lady.
Thank you for calling me young lady.
I know.
I don't know whether this was asked because we came a little late.
Yeah, well,
But are there any artists that inspire you?
Yeah, John Himmelfarb, Oran Kenyatta, Dredd, Eric B. In art?
Yeah, in art. I know that you probably hang around other artists.
Yeah, Warhol.
Famous artists.
Yeah, Emory Douglas. I like Picasso. His earlier, when he did the Harlequin pieces, his earlier pieces. I like that. His abstract stuff. I don't understand it. I wish I can get to that point to where I can draw an eyeball and a nose and get $50,000, but I really liked his earlier work. The usual bunch. The usual bunch.
I was going to, you mentioned briefly about the process. So as if there's one process, and so you have, it's like graffiti, and there's a speed and a pace and a time to that. And there's another process you described that takes a bit more thought.
Yeah.
Is your preparation for that work and that piece much different? Require more research?
Yeah, it does. It does. I'll study the anatomy. I'll get anatomy books. I'll get I'll study when it comes to oil, because mainly it's expensive. So I don't want to waste my oil. But when I'm doing an oil painting, it's more thought. It's definitely more thought. I have a painting that actually Regina Robinson owns, and it's all oil. And it took me like maybe 3 weeks you know, to actually finish that painting. And it's about as big as Bobby Hutton, the middle piece. It's not that big as far as size, but the thought and the brush strokes, you know. I actually study, you know, what to dilute my painting with and how to get it flowing a lot, you know. When I'm working with oil, I'm in a whole nother zone.
One more question.
Uh-huh.
What is your connection to one of your pieces? Is it, you know, I've got the energy out, it's done, I've said what I wanted to say, or is it a, you know, forever connection?
I think it's both. I think once you say what you got to say, your words is out there. You know what I mean? Whenever you say words are powerful, you know. And I think art is powerful. So once I get it out there and once I get that image out, I'm still connected because it's my work. I signed it, you know. And, you know, that's why I pick my subjects, you know, and what I decide to paint very, very carefully. Something that I can always be proud of, you know. Certain images I can always be proud of, you know.
Is there a piece here, if you were to redo it, either approach its concept, you would do it much differently than we see it here today?
Actually, the Black Fizz and John Muhammad, I would approach that a lot different. I heard that he was about to get executed, so I wanted to hurry up and put something down. But I really would like to take a lot more time in explaining what would drive a human being to do that. And I don't think I captured it. I kind of just captured, okay, I'm going to fry right now. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to kill me. But I think he's a lot more complex than that, you know. And what drove him to do what he did was a lot more complex than that. I'm intrigued with black serial killers, period. I mean, that's just something that we just don't do. You know, if we read the newspaper, you see a person, like, you see a guy, you got a paper, you got a newsprint, and it says, man robs a woman for her link card. Immediately you say, there's a brother. You immediately say that. But when it says, man kills 8 people and eats their foot, must be a white cat. You know what I mean? You just know automatically. So when I heard that he was a serial killer, when I first heard it was a sniper, I'm like, okay, it's got to be a white cat. When I saw it was a brother, I was like, hell no, this is a brother. And the story was intriguing, you know. And it got me to thinking, back in the day, it was a guy named Alton Coleman. And everybody was like, oh, Alton Coleman is coming. And we was scared as I don't know what. You know, so it's, and Colin Ferguson. He got on the train and just decided to shoot up a bunch of white folks. You know, I'm intrigued, not the fact that, you know, going around shooting white folks, but that a brother would just do it. Like, he was picking them off and like it was, you know, for real or something, you know, like it was his job to do that. So I would have took a lot more time in getting into the mind of that cat and probably used a bigger canvas. I found those pieces and I was saving them for a piece that I was going to do for Henry Louis Gates. I felt really bad about that brother. You know, he coming home and they arrest him and it's his house. I would have went off too, you know. But and then the president's reaction to that, let's have a beer. You know, I'm like, nah, I don't want to drink with you. You know, I want to go off. So I wanted to paint a piece. You know, I was going to have a Klan member, which would represent the police, Obama, and Henry Louis Gates, and like an old beer commercial. You know how, like, here's the good friends. You know, like the old Michelob commercials. And I was gonna paint them. You know, it's almost like a satire. But when I heard about the young brother being killed, I had to, because those were special glass. I'm like, man, that's fly. I had to use it, you know. But if I was to do anything different, I would have took a little bit more time on that one, and I would have used different colors with the black fist. But those were the only colors I had in the studio.
And then I want to ask, because the black fist is a symbol that we've seen again and again
Over
and
and
again.
over.
So the question is, maybe two questions. What does it mean to you? And does a symbol, when used that over and over again, does it mean anything anymore? And how do you make it mean something?
I think it does.
Okay.
I think it does to certain people. Like, in a world where obviously symbols mean something, I'm glad that, you know, that I'm attracted to the black fist. I'm glad that I love that sense of strength, be it a protest at the Olympics or me throwing my brother the fist, telling him to stay strong. I love what that represents. And much like a crucifix, you know, or much like a fish was to the early church, you know, it was a sign of strength, you know. Nowadays you see, you know, a fish on the back of people's bumper stickers, but they'll flip you the bird, you know what I mean? Or you'll see a crucifix on somebody's neck and, you know, they'll be robbing you at the same time. I mean, but to some people, I think it means a lot, you know. And for those minute few that honor the black fist and what that means and honor the struggle, which is, I mean, wow, this is kind of the first time I really was digging this piece like this. I think that you can take that brown out and put any color in it. At this point, I mean, right about now, you got white folks that's sitting up want to throw up a fist because they wake up tomorrow, they ain't got no job. They're like power, you know what I mean? Or you got Latinos that's like, you know, they got picked up and on their way back to Honduras. So they like, you know, power or whatever power would be in Spanish. So I think, you know, different people can gain a lot from strength or that symbol. I'm just, you know, it just goes back to something that we created that the whole world can use, you know. But I like images. I like images of black power. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I think I just, you know, glad I had brown that day. You know what I mean? Because it probably would have been an orange fist, and I'd have had to, the orange just represent the jack-o'-lanterns. I'm sorry.
You know, your first thought about comparing the black fist to the cross. You know, I thought that was very, thought that was a really both kind of provocative, but also very new way of thinking about the black fist. You could say a little bit more about how you connect those two.
Well, I mean, my early upbringing was Catholic, hardcore Catholic. You know, rosary saying, novena going to, altar boy, every sacrament except, you know, my last sacrament. You know what I mean? Actually going to confession because I wanted to. And in my church, I had the honor of going to a basilica, man, where they had dope art. I'm talking about 150-year-old paintings, you know, done in classic style. And when you're forced to stare at that, you know, because, you know, that's what I did. I just stared at things. And I would dig the brushstroke of just early Catholic art, the image, because, I mean, and historically, the priests were the only people that read. So art was the only way that they got to the people. You know, when they wanted pictures of hell, they painted fire and purgatory. So you knew this is a place I didn't want to go. You know what I mean? So they painted, you know, different images. And I think that our struggle is about the same as church. You know, it's about as holy. You know, there are people that died. We have martyrs. We have Christ. We have people that come back every year. Fred Hampton comes back every year. Just like a Jesus figure, at least to me. Noble Drew Ali comes back every year. At least to me, you know. So I think the Black Fist and the early church has a lot in common. Early church was persecuted. They used art as a symbol to show where their meetings were going to be at and all of this and all of that. So, yeah, I draw a strong correlation. And it's mainly because of my Catholic upbringing. I mean, I can't escape it. You know, when you forced to say the rosary, that ain't no quick stuff, man. You got to devote some time to that, Jack. So, yeah, I mean, spirituality, and you know, reading more and getting more involved with people, you realize that it's very religion has has a lot in common with each other. Be it that's why it was so easy for like Santeria to incorporate themselves with the Catholic saints and stuff like that, which was done with art. You know, I had a picture of our Blessed Mother, and that's Yimi Ya, or you know what I mean, or even the early religions of South America with the picture of I think it was not what is his name? Juan Diablo. The guy with the roses that has a picture. Diego, thank you. Yeah, you know, that was a very powerful, you know, piece. So I figured, okay, let's make our struggle holy. You know what I mean? I think the fist and the cross is equally as sacred and holy. You know, and if we don't believe it, then you know, who will? You know what I mean, brother?
Yeah, I was thinking about the early religious artists being, I remember in our history class, they referred to a lot of it as iconic art.
Mm-hmm.
And I see the fist as iconic art this time, these times, a symbol of iconic art.
Absolutely.
And this is not correcting anything, but it is to say that the fist didn't just come out of our struggles in the 60s. I can remember what they referred to as the state art, the communist movement.
Right on.
A lot of raised fists and pitchforks and
And the hammer and...
Yeah, but the symbol became a lot more prevalent during the 60s.
Right
I
on.
remember because I was involved in a lot of that stuff.
Right on.
Yeah, and this is go back to my youth.
Right on. Right on. So do you think I did a pretty decent job, brother?
I think you made a real great presentation.
My man.
And boldness. And as far as the symbols go, I see some originality in, let's say, where you use the Arabic along with what we have all identified with before.
Mm-hmm.
And in your explanation about how it could be a recipe.
Yeah.
And I see you softening the resistance to change.
Absolutely.
You know, within the community.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying everybody should think or feel the same way about everything, but I think when we change our focus, what has been happening in my life, I'll put it this way, from the anger of my youth and channeling that anger into love.
Right on.
And it's not necessarily who I should be angry with, but how to love myself more, which, you know, stemming from me to everybody like me, to everybody that includes everybody in the whole world.
Right on.
And that what we witnessed on the television screen, you know, with that young man,
Yeah.
was the most perverse
Yeah.
example of self-hatred. Not the most,
Right.
it was a real example of self-hatred.
Absolutely.
Like you said, you should have heard, you wish you could have heard both those boys.
Yeah, yeah, man.
Because in the case of the one doing the hitting,
You will never be the same, brother.
that boy was hitting.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, right on. You're exactly, wow, you're exactly the type of brother that I paint for. You know, ones that can dig it. You know, I deal with anger issues even to this day. You know, I just got through paying a ticket because I was angry. You know, because I was angry. But I'm learning to refine myself. And when I see things like this, I immediately want to get the brothers together and let's. But I mean, you know, to quote a good brother, you know, when asked about things that made him mad or about poverty, he was like, "They'll be poor always. Cain will walk the earth forever." You know what I mean? So, ain't no. I don't mean to say it ain't no big deal. It's gonna make you, you know, ignore it. But I do believe that, you know, these situations will keep on happening. But if what would be a shame, what would be really horrible if we had no explanation of why it happened. He just dying because. I see that my son is very much into this lecture. He reminds me of myself when I was a lad. Sir?
Yeah, I'm not sure if somebody asked this already.
Because you probably was late, weren't you? Yep.
You have to forgive me on that one. But,
No.
and this may be sort of difficult to answer, like, simply whatever, but two things. Where do you envision the theme of your art going?
One more time, brother.
Where do you envision the theme of your art going?
Honestly, I want to go to museums.
No, I mean like oh, I'm sorry. Actually what you're painting about.
Right. I want to be able to take over, like once people appreciate you on the museum level, you know, it's cool, you know, getting into people's homes and, you know what I mean, painting something for your couch. But when you get in the museum, you become a required study. And that's what I eventually want to be, required study. I want to rank right up there with the masses. I come from a background of people that don't take, you know, mediocre stuff. We go for the best. I would be disrespectful to my grandfather, my father, everybody else that believe in me if I just settled. So I wanted to go straight to museums so I can be studied in books. And then I'm given a platform to explain why that young man has a gun or why I painted this cat, you know. And I take that inspiration from Baldwin. You know, once he got to where he got to, he wrote beautifully. But when he got to where he got to, you had to respect his political views, no matter what you felt about him. He was going to say what he had to say in a beautiful sense. So I want to travel that road. I see myself, I'm not going to stop till I'm in art institutes all over the world, you know. Sir? Indeed.
The young black man over there, to me, is one of the most powerful pieces here. Tell me something about it.
Well, I saw a picture of a brother in the Sudan. And, oh man, the Sudan will break your heart. And from Sudan, you'll see different pictures of Africa. And that look, you can cut that look and go to a poor part of Kenya or a poor part of South Africa, and it's the same look. So I wanted to like really show that I sympathize with the motherland and our plight over there. And if you can see, he has a blank stare in his face. You know, it's not happy, it's not sad. It is. And a lot of people have that in Rwanda. They've seen so much that they just. Ironically, you can get those same brothers over here. You know, the beautiful Sudanese brother that you see at Home Depot work. There's a lot of them at Home Depot. I don't know why, but they get over here, and you immediately look at their color. You're like, damn, brother, you a different kind. I mean, you black, you know, and you really love the color. Like your skin glows. Where you from? Well, I'm from the Sudan, and he's smiling like a mug. But when he tell you a story, this cat done killed 24 people. But he has something to smile at. Some life is back into this young man. You know what I mean? So when you see a person that looks like that, be it on the West Side, be it in Darfur, be it in Cape Town, you know what I mean? It's the same look. That's the same look that, you know, Lil Ray Ray down the street had. Just, where you going? Mm-hmm. Are you happy? Mm-hmm. Are you sad? Mm-hmm. You know, so I wanted to keep the feature aesthetically black, so I exaggerated the lips so that, you know, these are something that you know, it's a brother. You can tell it's a brother. And, you know, broaden the nose. And, but I agree that hangs at my studio. Like, I just like looking at it, especially under a black light. You know, I just stare at it, you know.
Because even though you can't really even see the eyes, you can't really see them clear, you can still see, like you just said, the emptiness in the eyes.
Yeah, it's nothing there. It's nothing there. Alicia.
I wanted to, you talked about emotion and being connected to your, and even anger. Are there any pieces in here that you painted, well, either in here or in the past, that you look at and you're like, oh my God, where was I at when I painted this?
All of them. All of them, because I'm always growing.
I mean, I honestly speaking, I'm looking at your paintings and I was fortunate enough to see the progression, and it really is.
Yeah. I look at them a lot and be like, wow, what was I thinking? Or, you know what I mean? What was I on? Or I may have had one too many.
But what is like is there like a certain emotion that you usually get? Is it like an anger, or is it just?
I mean, I think it's anger, but I think that we're giving anger a bad name right about now. I think we should all embrace our anger. But no, anger is good if it's used to fuel you.
Do you think that your paintings come from a place of anger? What
Definitely.
is the most prominent emotion that you know, or
Outrage, anger, solidarity.
Is there any painting
Here? No, it's no painting here that's beautiful. Because of the theme of
the
revolution.
But have you ever painted something?
Yeah, I have pictures of beauty. I painted a picture when my first daughter was being born. You know, the oil piece, it took me a zillion years to make. You know, I have things of beauty, but first and foremost, I think my responsibility is to my people. Before my daughter was born, I knew what color she was, and I knew what type of world she was going to be born into. So that happiness turned to worry. You know what I mean? So I better paint her a better world, or try to change it with my paintings.
We were talking about this piece,
Mm-hmm.
and it's interesting, you know, as you look at it, you see what's clearly supposed to be a young boy, but I see no innocence.
None.
You talked about the dull look, but there's no innocence here. So it's almost as if I'd say, you know, the feeling or the emotion is there's this adult, as if someone who'd come back from war.
Absolutely.
In the child's face.
Well, having studied, you know, color, what I had to do is, because I am not joking. I get a lot of laughs from that, but I really, truly just paint with the colors that I have. But sometimes I mix them. You know, it's good to learn how to mix colors. And I wanted to get gray. I didn't want any, like usually I'll paint and try to put, you know, some ray of hope using color. When I was, because there was a brother at Home Depot that was cutting wood, and I heard his story. And that made me want to go ahead and research and you know, go online and look at other people's plight. I mean, I knew about their plight, but I haven't met anybody personally, you know. So that kind of got me to, you know, to paint that, you know, and I would see look after look after look, and I wanted to figure out what would capture all of those images that I saw in one. And you're right. They not playing with toys. They not waiting on going on prom. They trying to get, you know, their magazine filled so they can go off and fight.
The other question I had is we were talking about the black fist, and you started talking, and the gentleman asked about your reference to the black fist and the cross. And then as I looked at the colors around, you talked about Catholicism and pictures in the Basilica, those around the glass.
Stained glass.
Like stained glass.
Absolutely.
So my question for you is, has there been a piece, it may be here, that you have done, that you've come back and looked at it, and you've seen something completely different, or is showing you something about you that's complete, that you didn't see before?
Yeah, it comes out. I mean, I think I paint from my subconscious, and I draw off of images that I've seen before, and it's definitely, it's even with the black outline to break up the color. I mean, it was deliberately done to look like stained glass. Actually, that's a big project of mine, to actually do stained glass art, because it's a lost art, and I would love to put a different edge to the stained glass, you know. But yeah, I mean, you know, you do what you do well, you know. If I have no if I don't have a sense of anatomy, it would be horrible for me to try to paint like Michelangelo, who mastered anatomy. You know, if I didn't know how to do shading, it would be virtually impossible for me to do, you know, like Rembrandt or anything, or lighting. So the things that I can do, I do. You know, I know stained glass because I looked at it all my life. I know dominant, bold images. I know quick, you know, quick colors. You know, I've been dealing with it all my life. So when you get in the zone, you play. You don't have time to really, okay, now I'm going to add a stroke. So it does come off like that, and it's definitely, you know, like a stained glass type of image, especially with it being two-dimensional like that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you all for coming out. This concludes. Oh, go on. Cut it out. Stop it more. Thank you, sir.
We still have some finger food available. Probably there's something to drink. The artist is here, and we're here to enjoy each other. We still have some time left before we let go.